Assessment in the Fordham University Libraries. What are the goals of an academic library assessment? We're looking to see if we are meeting our goals as expressed in our mission statements. That includes the mission statement of the university at large and of the library itself. We're looking to see whether the library is operating efficiently. We're looking to see whether our users are satisfied with our service. And we're looking to see how our work compares to that of our peers. Let's start with a general discussion about assessment. The who, what, where, when, and how. Who is doing the assessing? At Fordham, it's the Fordham Office of Institutional Research and, of course, the library staff. What are we looking at? We're looking at both qualitative and quantitative information. Where are we looking? We're looking in context. We're looking in the context of our school, we're looking in the context of our library, and we're looking in the context of our peers. When do we do assessment work? Well, we pretty much do it continuously, but we're timing it to regional and professional accreditation. For the university, the Middle States Commission on Higher Education cycle is every 10 years, and 2016 is the next scheduled assessment opportunity. But in addition, we're doing it according to a calendar or fiscal year schedule, and we're doing it based on cycles of vendor or contractor analysis. Why are we assessing? Well, it has to do with being part of the university regional accreditation process. And in addition, it has to do with being part of the professional school accreditation. At Fordham, those professional school accreditation processes relate to law, psychology, teaching, social work, and business. For law, we're accredited by the ABA, section of legal education. For psychology, it's the American Psychological Association Commission on Accreditation. In education, the National Council for Accreditation of Teacher Education. In social work, the Council on Social Work Education. And in business, the Association to Advance Collegiate Schools of Business. The library can and should help with the accreditation process. We can track accreditation standards so that the university is always up to date. We can create workflows and processes and forms. We can show the return on investment in library facilities, staff, and resources. We can show how library spaces and resources help with student retention and academic achievement. We can demonstrate value in faculty research, curriculum design, and publication. We can manage professional metrics with our professors. We could maintain an institutional repository for student and faculty publications. We can manage data processes and a repository to assist with grant-funded research. And we can keep and preserve standardized library statistics to track performance over time. Why are we assessing? The second reason is mission-driven. We want to be able to show student learning and information literacy, looking at diverse student needs, international students, veterans, students with disabilities, lower income students, as well as the rest of the student body. We want to look at faculty integration, faculty research, and publication, and we want to implement the best practices. The third area that we want to assess in is library operation quality. This is a big topic. This has to do with staffing, budget and workflow, circulation and reserves, reference services, face-to-face, chat, video, study guides, the physical management of study and computer spaces and stacks, how we do collection management in print, digital, and audiovisual collections, data management and services, and collaborative collections management. So how do we analyze the information that we gather? There are a number of tools, and the tools are becoming more diverse all the time. Data analysis tools, vendor use statistics, social media analysis, survey reporting, budgetary analysis, information visualization, clickstream analysis, mapping collections to academic departments. We'll discuss these in a little more detail later on. Who sees the results of our assessment? Students, both our current students and future students, faculty, administration, peers, public or the alumni, and authorities. Let's focus next on statistical sources for data relating to assessment. We're going to set aside for the time being the discussion of qualitative assessment and focus on quantitative assessment. What types of statistical data do we use in assessment? Usage reports. Examples are Counter and ProQuest. We'll talk more about that. Financial reports, invoice data, evaluative metrics such as citation reports and user experience testing, collection tracking devices such as vendor-provided title lists, compiled reports such as Association of Research Library Statistics, legal reports, for example, license and copyright data. So first, usage. Usage relates to who's using the library, when are they using it, and are they satisfied by it? The kind of data that we can gather relating to usage includes gate counts, which are internally generated usage measurements. We can divide that out by faculty and student. Google Analytics or clickstream analysis relates to who's using our online resources. We can also count our online usage of networked electronic resources using the utility called Counter. ProQuest enables us to track some of this data, and LibAnalytics by SpringShare also does. And here you can see journal report number 1. This is Counter data, which enables us to look at turnaways, number of successful full-text article requests, total searches and sessions by month and database, and so on. In addition, we can track the use of social media with online tracking tools. Again, Google Analytics is extremely useful for clickstream analysis. Google Scholar enables us to gather this information. Twitter lets us analyze references to the library or to the university. Facebook has analytical data also, as does Instagram. And there are also specific tools for tracking online use, such as StatCounter, SumAll, and Clout. We're also gathering financial information to put into financial reports. We do this as part of other university internal reports. Here you see something from Berkeley relating to acquisitions that lists workload indicators. This can prove the value of the library to the work of the university at large. We also gather financial information as parts of reports to the public, such as our annual reports or our Form 990 IRS reports. This is a copy of a page from a UVA annual report, and you can see that they make reference to numbers such as the budget and the number of manuscripts in the archives and so on. We also gather statistical information about evaluative metrics such as journal citation reports, program or service planning and monitoring, impact assessment, economic efficiency relating to reshelving, cataloging, collection strength, and gap analysis. We evaluate by benchmarking, both within and outside the library. We evaluate student learning outcomes, and that relates back to the mission of the university at large. We evaluate circulation and acquisition statistics, interlibrary loan activity, and reference statistics. And one way to do that is the READ scale, the Reference Effort Assessment Data. More statistics relating to evaluation have to do with the library tracking its own internal information with surveys, focus groups, benchmarking, workflow analysis, suggestion boxes, input from staff. We also use evaluation statistics from vendors for acquisitions and circulation. We can use the Building Responsive Library Collections with the Getting It System Toolkit. We can use statistics from OCLC and WorldCat. And we can use statistics on workflow relating to technical services that are pioneered by the Association of Library Collections and Technical Services. Measuring student learning incomes is an important part of proving the library's value to the university and of showing that we're meeting our goals. For students, these learning outcomes are largely governed by the Association of College and Research Libraries. They had a standard called the Information Literacy Competency Standard for higher education, which is soon going to be replaced by the ACRL Framework for Information Literacy in Higher Education. This is an an area that's receiving a lot of attention. The Davis Educational Foundation recently gave over $200,000 to a consortium of institutions that are implementing and designing and implementing a customizable learning assessment curriculum. And there's a tool called the Collegiate Learning Assessment Tool, CLA+. In addition, Fordham has its own standards and guidelines on information literacy, and there is a LibGuide in the library that relates to that. The Association of Research Libraries gives members access to a wide variety of statistical and analytical tools for library self-study, as well as to peer comparisons with other universities, other comparable universities. In addition, the Assessment in Action program, a fairly new development, is documenting the impact that librarians have on student learning and working to strengthen the competencies of librarians in campus leadership and data-informed advocacy. In addition, we evaluate the library by measuring user satisfaction. We can use ARL's tool LibQual to solicit and track and understand and act upon users' opinions of service quality in different areas of library services. This infographic on the left has to do with a library survey in 2014, and you can see different opinions conveyed in a snappy graphic. In addition, we can do surveys and questionnaires and focus groups, and on the right is an infographic that conveys the results of a survey that was done in a library. Next, we perform evaluation using statistical tracking relating to collection development. These tools are provided by many of our vendors, including EBSCOhost and JSTOR, and Google Scholar also has tools to enable us to track our collections. And not on this slide, but still very important, is the OCLC tracking. When we're measuring ourselves against our peer performance, there are a number of tools that we have to work with. The National Center for Education Statistics has the Integrated Post-Secondary Education Data System, the IPEDS survey, that includes all kinds of information, including ratios of faculty to grad students, and specifies which type of university our university is listed as. There's the Common Data Set, and this infographic relating to enrollment by gender is generated from data from the Common Data Set. And there's the Chronicle of Higher Education that tracks a number of different aspects of data in universities. This one happens to do with salary levels. Here are some infographics that show examples of ARL research analysis. The one on the left has to do with resources per student in ARL university libraries from 1986 to 2012. It shows a vast increase in the amount of interlibrary borrowing and total staff, a total decrease. And the one on the right has to do with university library expenditures from 2011 to 2012. Total salaries, 44%, total library materials, 44%, and other operating expenditures, 11%. These are some more IPEDS graphics having to do with full-time versus part-time grad students and distance learners, and retention and graduation rates, which are very important statistics to gather for comparing ourselves to our peers and for student learning outcomes. We also have statistical compiled reports, which can cover some of the items that we talked about before, but which are prepared by consultants or vendors. They have to do with learning outcomes and peer performance and analyses of research activity in the library. OCLC Research performs some of these. They call themselves one of the world's leading centers devoted to the challenges facing libraries and archives. And Ithaca SNR also is another one, and there are others. The library may at times be called on to create legal reports relating to copyright. The issues relating to copyright and fair use are increasing in importance, and they may even be needed in case of litigation. There's an example of a case relating to patents from Hawk Technology Systems suing Fordham University, so this kind of report can be important as well. So let's wrap this up with 7 suggestions for assessment in Fordham University libraries. First, we have to plan ahead before we start doing any assessment work. Think about workflow arrangements. Think about strategy. Here's an assessment plan template with the rationale for the inclusion of whatever data gathering we're planning to do. Keep up to date with academic studies and methods. There are all kinds of interesting articles that are out there in the world relating to how data visualization is used, what can stand in the way of assessment, and so on. Treat your assessment data like the asset it is. You may need to use it for long-term tracking and planning. Standardize storage and preservation of your assessment data with a data management plan. Use accepted metadata and documentation processes. Create and use data formatting standards that favor non-proprietary formats. Have a storage and archiving plan as much as you can. Consider legal issues like intellectual property, ownership, and sharing of data, and create a workflow that addresses who is going to be the long-term steward of the data. Fourth, report back. You can use data in the library annual report, the report to the University Assessment Committee, library blogs, emails to library employees or the wider university community. Put it in the campus newspaper, present it at conferences, and even present it in scholarly articles. It's important for the community to see that the data that you gather is important and is valued by you. That can be helped if you use information visualization techniques, which are growing in importance in conveying all kinds of information in the world. Here are two examples of library use data information graphics. One of them is a comparison of 0 circulation items purchased with and without using the Getting It system, and a research services dashboard. On the bottom is reference basic, reference consultation, and directional inquiries. Consider broader issues. Check the ALA guidelines on access and privacy issues with digital content. Think about what information your vendors are collecting and what they're using it for. And consider how intellectual privacy and freedom of expression and thought can be impacted by the collection of use data. Last, it's important to create an atmosphere where assessment is part of the everyday work of the library. It's not scary, it's important, and it's a useful tool that helps the university on all levels. Thanks for letting me present to you today.